Over the next couple of videos, I'll cover working with photographs of a product shoot, which would be used for menus, package designs, and similars. Now, if you're in the classroom with me, we may have access to good lighting and a nice background. But if not, if you have to shoot these on your own, then I suggest Googling something like product photos on a budget and clicking on videos and then looking for tips here on how you can get decent photographs without expensive lighting or an expensive background. Now, also keep in mind, Amazon has some, depending on what your budget is, some pretty sweet deals on things. I've seen things like in the $15 to $20 range that had a light built right into a little box, which would be great for little product shoots. I saw a background for, it was like a baby shower background. I guess the idea was to take photos of a baby. I don't know, but it was big enough, but it was only, and this was just a continuous background, and that was less than 10 bucks. So think about that if you're going to be doing it a lot, but if not, what I suggest is perusing through these videos, and then I'll show you my starting point, which is pretty simple. I just thought, what is something that everyone will at least have access to no matter what? And I'm just using from a roll of paper towels. You can see I taped it up against the wall here, and this is one of the key things is give it a soft transition here so that you don't see that harsh line across it. And as you can see, I'm not in direct sunlight. The sun is over here, so it's illuminating the outside area pretty well. But if we were to place this right in direct sunlight, it would wash everything out. So I think going from something that is, this is pretty basic right here. Here's what the shot that I took actually looks like. And if I can make this look decent in Photoshop, we should be able to make almost any photo with a decent non-distracting background look all right. And if this isn't wide enough, you could always take two sheets of the paper towels and then overlap them slightly. You will have to spend some time in Photoshop on the overlap, so strategically place it. And you may want to spend some time just reading through here, but definitely avoid busy looking backgrounds. Set your camera, your phone, to take the maximum size / quality of images, and then just Google your model if need be to set this up, but you want to be able to grab the maximum amount of pixels. Always a good idea to make a backup copy of your image before opening it in Photoshop. And let's go ahead and start in Photoshop. So I'm just going to right click on my image and duplicate it, and then we will go ahead and drag this into Photoshop or open Photoshop and navigate to the file. And if you forgot to make a copy by the time you're at this point, you can always go to File. Let's see, where is duplicate? You can either hit duplicate if you see that, or you can just of course go to Save As and save out a copy of this now. But I'll hold off since I've already done that until we get a couple things going. And then remember, as we save, we're going to save as a Photoshop document because we're going to end up with different layers in here. So some experts recommend cropping is the last thing that you do because it will reorder your pixels a little bit and smoothen out the image a little bit. So we will go ahead and save that as one of our last things. It's not a bad idea to bring out some guides and put them around the area that will be later cropped so that you don't end up wasting time on areas that are going to disappear anyway. So let's do that, and then the next step is we'll move into adjusting the luminosity. Okay, so I'm going to do Command R or View Rulers, and then I'm going to drag out the rulers to the area that I think. And if I think I was going to crop in tight, like maybe this close, which with the product shot you generally want to show the whole thing, but no matter what, I'm going to go just a little bit looser. Like this is probably where I'll end up. I'll go just a little looser than that, but I don't want to be way out of whack here so that I end up correcting areas of the image that just really don't need to be. And notice in my product shot, like you can imagine that this was the product that you made or the package design that you made, and then you want to show what goes in it, at least in one shot, so that it all makes sense. But it's not about the thing that goes inside of it, right? It's just the fact that it is there, that it does go in the box. Generally, multiple shots are going to be your friend for something like that. Okay, so we'll pretend that, well, not pretend, we'll say that's our working area here. And then we're going to go, we're going to adjust luminosity, which is basically the lightness. Like you can tell this image could have been exposed just a little bit more probably. But if you're pretty close in Photoshop, you can get it even better. So I'm going to click right here to bring out a new fill or adjustment layer. And I want that to be levels. Okay, and then we're going to play around with this slider and this slider to kick in our levels. So this represents where the blacks in the image start. So if you slide it this way, it takes things that were sort of black and makes them black, which in this case, just by looking at this data map here, you can see we have a lot of darks in here, so we really don't need to slide that. But where we're lacking is in the light. So if I take this slider and I can bring it over to where my data first starts here, you can see it's already made a significant improvement to the image. And you can see what it looks like if you go too far. You start to what's called below the highlights, where you lose data that's important, or the image just kind of generally looks washed out. But sometimes you can go past where the data starts and just keep an eye on every little bit of detail and make sure you're not overdoing it. Then this is the balance between light and dark. Generally, you don't have to monkey with that too much, but you can see if you slide this way, it makes the image composed more of darks, and this way it lightens it up. But generally, I don't monkey too much with that. Okay, so now the beauty is, even if I close this up, this is an adjustment layer, so we can turn it off, get a before and after, and we can, by clicking on that icon, we can bring this back up and make more adjustments later, even after we've done other type of adjustments. So that's your number one thing with photographs, is luminosity. Is it light enough? Is the light distributed properly? Now again, if you have a bad photograph, there's only so much you can do. So first, get pretty decent photographs as a starting point. And if you're trying this out and it's just not working, you know, go back when that sun is just in that right spot and do it again. Okay, then the next thing on the checklist of things to do to a photograph is color balance. Sometimes you will get a photograph that leans towards one color more than the other. And I'll pause this and kind of fake it for you. So you may have seen photographs like this that look really yellow, washed out. And that can happen if the camera you're using didn't click onto the fact that you were outside when you took the photo, because they will try to balance this kind of stuff for you in most automated cameras. But the way to adjust when you get this is you bring out another. Let me just do it here with you, and I can even show you how I faked this. So what you want to do to adjust your color balance in an image is we'll do the same thing where we'll bring out another adjustment layer, and this time we'll go to color balance. And then you can see inside of here, if you were experiencing an image that was too yellow, like we had that I faked, then the cure for that is to go to the opposite. So if it's too yellow, you move the slider a little bit to blue. If you can visibly see that it is magenta-ish, and you know, really all you need to do is come in here and play with these a little bit, and you'll find just the right balance so that it looks very neutral in the image. And then you should go through the image kind of like inch by inch and make sure that there are no anomalies in the image, like dust on your camera lens, things like that. And you can see, like, here's a little spot, must have been some dust on the camera. So what you do in a professional sense to do this is you want to just go, like, make sure you don't miss any part of the image. So I'll Command plus to zoom in, and probably wrong program. Okay. And then you just want to, like, pick an area. You can even bring out another guide and say, okay, this sweep, I'm going to do everything between here and here. And in fact, I set that down right on there. So let me just do this area first, and then we'll bring out a guide. So right here, I have an issue. So what you want to do is, first of all, make sure you're on the right layer, because if you try this on this layer or this layer, you won't get the results you're expecting. So you want to be on the layer that has the issue. And the tool for this job is the clone stamp tool. There are other more advanced tools in the arsenal when you have a bigger area to fix, and here's a look at some of those. But you can do almost anything just with the clone stamp tool. So that is housed right here, and you want clone stamp, not pattern stamp. Just like with all brushes, you can make the brush bigger or smaller. So my cursor is right here over the item, and you can see I can make it bigger, smaller by using the left and right bracket keys. Pay attention to your settings up here. You can go into the brush in more detail. You generally want a very soft brush, so all the way to the left in the hardness setting. And then you generally want the opacity at 100%, the flow at 100%, and you want this aligned checked. And what that'll do is move the sampling area as you move. Now you may be able to do it all at once, so you can try that first. Make the brush the whole size of this. Now what the technique is it's almost like capturing an image here and then moving it over here with the help of the computer, or here, or here, or here. In fact, I think this might be the best area. So what you do to capture that image, first of all, make sure the brush size is the right size, and then you put it into a clear area that looks similar. You hold down the Option key and you click. Now that image is stored into the computer, and you move it over the top of what you're trying to fix. Click again, and then move away. And you can see that that actually did a really good job of fixing that area. Now I'm going to Command Z and go back, and let's say that that looked a little funny. Then what you can do is you can go back to the clone stamp. You can make it a little bit smaller, and then you can just work on it in pieces. So maybe I'm going to Option click from over here, click into it. And then I can go up here, Option click, click into the object area that's bad. Maybe go down here, Option click. And now I don't think you'd ever be able to tell. Now that we got in a little bit closer, we can see there's another little anomaly here. Make that about that big. And we will Option click. Let's do it right here in line with it. And click. And if you had like a long scratch going through here, for example, you could Option click below and then start click, 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 click. Keep moving the mouse and clicking, and only have to do the Option click one time. And because you have this align check, it would keep sampling, continuously moving along, so that you wouldn't get something in here that looked too predictable. Okay, in the next video we'll continue on. I'll show you how to correct things that are right on the edge of two colors that can be really tricky to do. And then we'll continue on with this image and get it looking professional, work on this background and so on.